Right, there's quite a bit to cover in this video, so time to roll up our sleeves and get to work. This video is about practical tips and steps towards developing more of a growth mindset, making sure that it shows up more often than not in our lives. In the last video, I introduced Dr. Carol Dweck's concept of growth mindset, contrasted with her concept of the fixed mindset, and we applied it to the workplace. And we also said in that video that people are not one or the other, they're typically both, and they show up at different times. So in this video, I'd like to look at how you as an individual can apply it, and that could be to any aspect of life, but we'll then come back to the workplace and look at if you're an individual within a team, if you're a manager or a leader or an owner of an organisation, what are the test questions and activities that you can do to keep yourself in check, or let's say to surface more of that growth mindset behaviour. So let's start with you. When we try to change a behaviour, we need to understand the triggers. What causes that behaviour? When you look at the behaviours in your life, why you do things, it could be based on a variety of triggers. It could be based on location or time. Fixed and growth mindset is slightly different. It's more entrenched. It's less visible. So you really have to observe it. So step one is to observe exactly that. And ironically, I'm going to say, embrace your fixed mindset. Have a look at it. Think of a time where you know that you're challenged and you don't like something. So if it was me, I'd look at any kind of task in mathematics. I have told myself over many years, I'm awful at maths, I'm not as good as the next best person, I'll never be good at maths. That's of course not true. It's just a case of if I choose to spend more time learning and dedicating time to being better at it. So for this step one, I'm identifying where I have an example of a fixed mindset. In my case, maths. In your case, have a think. Observe it, don't judge it. What happens when you have that fixed mindset scenario? What happens to you? How do you change? Give this fixed mindset a name, preferably a name you don't like. So I'm going to call mine the Terminator. So when the Terminator shows up in my scenario of maths, how do I behave? How do I feel? And how do I affect those around me? In my example, it could be I feel anxious, I feel frustrated, I feel tired, I don't want to do it, I drag my feet. I'm probably not very inspiring to those around me. So again, have a think of this and don't judge it, just observe it. And now, transport yourself to a place of a growth mindset. You want to do something. You have accepted a challenge and you're looking forward to it. That's step two. Are you visualizing it? Step three. Now the fixed mindset is coming into play. So you are going towards this challenge that you want to do. And now the fixed mindset shows up because things have got difficult. So in comes my Terminator. In my career in sales, and I need to be good at maths. Oh, I knew this wasn't the thing for me. Should I be doing it? How does the fixed mindset make you feel now that you've identified what he or she looks like, how they make you feel? How does it make you feel when you're trying to go for this thing you really want to do, and here it is again. Again, don't judge it, just observe it. And now step four, have a dialogue. Now this might sound funny, but fixed and growth mindsets are of course coming from our internal dialogue. It's been shaped by experiences from perhaps other people, of course our own experiences, but it is an internal dialogue that we have with ourselves. There is no one else telling me I'm bad at maths. This is really coming from within me. So therefore, when I say step four, have a dialogue, it's really take this personification, in my case the Terminator, of the fixed mindset. Let's have a civilized chat. I'm trying to do this, and you're making me feel like this. But look at what could happen if I didn't feel anxious, frustrated, feel like giving up, thinking I wasn't the best, thinking as if someone else could do it better. That's not really helping me. I need to do it, or I want to do it, and life is going to be better if I do it. Therefore, what can we do? By doing these steps and observing what are the scenarios in which your fixed mindset surfaces, what is triggering it, how you feel, you can start to observe how to have your internal dialogue back to say, okay, but what is really the block here? Is it a mental block? And what is the bigger opportunity cost? It's still worth pursuing, right? This goal that you want to work towards. What is the bigger picture? Step 5 is really for the longer term. When you get out of bed in the morning, recall this concept of a growth mindset, fixed mindset. Which team do you want to play for? Why? What is your motive? What is your objective? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to reach? Who do you want to become? A good friend of mine recently, Marta, calling you out, said that she sees every day as an iteration. What a fantastic concept. Rather than seeing this big step you have to take, why not take small steps towards it? And by taking the small steps, you can achieve a bigger step. So that's the solution for the longer step, is to really get out of bed, put your feet on the ground and ground yourself in that thought. By having that more positive and more constructive dialogue, what does my day look like? What am I trying to achieve? How am I going to grow? How am I going to tackle and confront my fixed mindset and move beyond it? These are the behaviours and habits to form, to work towards increasing more of the occurrences of the growth mindset. Give it a go and tell me what you think. What's difficult about it? What's easy about it? And what do you notice after trying 10 times, 20 times, or after a month? Leave a comment on the channel or within the blog post. So now coming back to within the workplace, let's have a look at some test questions you could ask yourself as an individual. And there's some detail here, so I'm just going to look at some notes. So as a team player or an individual, are you considering yourself as being judged, or do you consider people to helping you develop? That gives you an idea of the surrounding you're in, but also your attitude towards the continuous feedback that we have in an organisation. It ebbs and flows with every conversation, with every project. Could you be less defensive about your mistakes? And we all make mistakes, and mistakes are part of our learning. But how have they made you feel? And are you reacting in the, not just the appropriate way, in the way that you would like when you think about growth mindset? Are you capitalising on the feedback that you get? So we like to say feedback is a gift and feedback is welcome. Perhaps there are things we don't like to hear, but assuming the feedback has been delivered well, has come from a position of good intent, are we profiting on that and working towards taking that into account so that we work towards betterment, or are we just brushing that off? And this starts to give you an indication, okay, which mindset am I in? And if you're in that position and you find yourself in a fixed mindset, go back to that dialogue. Could you create more of a learning experience for yourself? Are there more opportunities to learn and to grow? Is it that there are no opportunities? Is it that you are holding yourself back from opportunity? Or what is the block? Have a think about that. I want to say that as we talk about you as an individual or manager or leader or organisation, even if you think you behave with a growth mindset, do these exercises anyway, because it cannot hurt you, because feedback and learning and continuous improvement can only be a good thing. Often as well, there is a bit of a misconception around growth mindset. So people might say, and Dr. Dweck touches on this in the book, hey, I have growth mindset. I'm open and flexible, open-minded. I listen to others. That's not really growth mindset. The key is how you behave or how you react, and not just on the surface. On the surface, we can do many things, but deep within, our very orientation, this is how you can begin to understand if you have more or less of a tendency towards growth mindset. So now as a manager, how do you treat others? Do you come from a position of power, or do you look for your team's well-being? Do you collaborate with people because you have to, ought to, or because you want to? Bit of a tough question, but if you're honest with yourself, are you holding back or threatened by people that are high performers? Do you demean? Are you demeaning when they bring up a good or valid point? Do you take the credit yourself? How can you help employees develop on the job? And list your strategies. This is really key because you can start to see, you will start as you start to brainstorm to come up with other ideas. Could it be that you're coaching them? Could it be that you're giving lessons or workshops? Could it be you have an apprenticeship? Whatever your strategy, Is your mindset to develop the team for well-being or to help them deliver your goals? As a leader or owner of an organisation, groupthink can often be the killer to growth mindset. If we all start to think and act and behave the same because that's the easy thing to do. So first look for how to work against or counteract groupthink, because if you have groupthink, you're not having individualism, innovation, productivity, and it lessens the morale. So Winston Churchill had a really interesting strategy here. He actually had a no team. Perhaps you know this, I'm sure you do. I was interested to read that he had a team that actively worked towards saying why his idea or the idea that the strategy team had come up with was a bad idea. I love this. And this is so he could sleep better at night, knowing that he wasn't just surrounded by yes men and women. What else? Could you assign people to play the devil's advocate? Could you encourage a debate? So force people to have, for the sake of a debate, different points of view. And then you can really start to see people thinking from different points of view and having a really productive debate with regard to idea generation, creativity, innovation. When you're trying to make a decision, could you have an anonymous decision box that you ask employees to contribute so that you really understand that you have a well-rounded view from the team? So just to recap, I've given some strategies about how you as an individual can start to work towards having more of a frequency of a growth mindset. And then within the workplace, how you can test yourself as an individual, as a manager, as a leader or owner of an organisation. But let's have a quick reminder as to why. Why are we doing this? To grow a culture of development and to retain talent. You don't want to have a culture that simply operates on excellence. Excellence is good, but short term. How do you foster that within so that people are coming forward with their own initiative rather than because they've been tasked to? So this is really about development versus performance-based tasks and coaching. In a growth mindset organisations, employees are more committed to learning, growing, helping the organisation. They're more agile. They have more leadership potential. They are the future leaders in the making. Contrasted with, in the fixed mindset organisation, often, based on pedigree, talent is hired, the talent comes in, they look to grow the talent that should be there, and of course the talent is not there because it's more short-termist in thinking. So just a few reasons on why. Let me know how this works for you. Do you see some other opportunities? Do you already have some tips and tricks in progress, either for yourself or within the organisation? Or what else was missing? And what was difficult? Or what would you like to hear more about the things I've mentioned? I look forward to hearing from you. In other topics around the growth mindset, I'd like to look at parenting next. Parenting is something that, of course, everyone wants to be the best possible at. We're raising the children of the future. It is a lot of investment of time, if nothing else, just on a black and white scale. We want to do our very best, and yet sometimes unknowingly we're committing heinous crimes in the realms of developing a growth mindset. So I want to look at that and tackle that in another video. Let me know your comments and speak to you soon. Bye.